This is Engineer Randy Osborne with LA County Fire Retired. I am a professor at Oxnard College, Community College, Fire Technology Department, College of the Canyons, and Mount San Antonio College. This video is for our Fire Behavior and Combustion course, and today we're going to, from Chapter 6, talk about pre-fire planning. Chapter 6, you will see, deals with ventilation and some other issues, but in this video we're just going to talk about pre-fire planning. Our objectives is to explain pre-fire and post-fire planning processes and how these activities ensure a safe, efficient, and effective firefighting activities. So we're going to look at the past sometimes and see how we could have done better, but mostly this video is about before, looking at our different facilities in our district and being prepared, especially for those that have extreme hazards of any nature. Now, in this chapter, the videos, we have a really good post-fire video from Glendale Fire Department about the Carr fire incident, a pre-33 Center Hall apartment building that had a fire. And this is an excellent video done very well by Glendale Fire, and it's a great example for you of looking at the past, a fire that we've been at, and talking about things that went well, things that could have gone better, things we wish we had done differently, and all of that. It's a very valuable resource. But again, as I mentioned in this video, we're just going to talk about pre-fire planning. Now, Chapter 6 deals with ventilation, salvage, and overhaul activities as well. Read your book on that, watch the videos that I provided, and also in the future I might have some videos on ventilation, but for now just this one. Okay, well, why do we do pre-fire planning? The advanced preparation for firefighting is we have a responsibility to pre-plan those community areas in our jurisdiction, which might include what we called in LA County Fire target hazards. Target hazards are anything that has an elevated life threat, so somewhere where there's lots of people, any kind of property threat, and our commercial buildings and or mercantile buildings, and anything that might have a threat to responding firefighters. So hazardous materials locations, any kind of commercial that has hazardous processes or stores hazardous materials. So pre-plan is basically a process where we go to facilities ahead of time and we're preparing how to deal with those threats in that particular building and any kind of emergency situation that we might have. So we look at our high hazards. Now remember, I'm sure you've learned in other classes, hazards are the things. Risks are what those things might do to us. So a facility that works with chemicals, that's the hazard. The risk is what might happen to us and to the people that work there. It's what might affect human beings. So our high hazard and high risk facilities, like I said before, in LA County we called them target hazards. We're going to put together a set of documents, maybe even have plans and a list of the hazardous materials, what kind of activities go on there, and all of these kind of things. One of the things we do is we do a pre-plan walkthrough. So we might even have the whole first alarm, all the engine companies and trucks that might be a part of a first alarm, and we'll go do a pre-planned walkthrough. but sometimes it's just the engine company, their jurisdiction. And we'll go, and it, first of all, allows the personnel that do the pre-plan to become familiar with the property by seeing it, by discussing the problems, by looking at the roof. What kind of a roof is this? By looking at the products that are inside and making a list of all of that and coming up with, well, what if the fire was over here? What if the fire was over there? All the worst case scenarios that we can come up with and set us up for success. That's the whole point. So we're going to determine the principles of fire behavior based on the structures, the construction types, the roof types, their characteristics. Where would the fire flow go? And what's the layout of the building? Is this place a maze? Is it wide open? All of these different kind of things that we want to look at. The location of the structural additions, the locations, where's the offices versus where's the industrial, the processes of making things with all the equipment, etc. So many different kinds of places that we would consider high hazard or target hazards. So we go out, and when we do it, we want to collect data and information. Now, sometimes we're just going to get something basic and get a basic plan, and where's the hydrants, where's the fire department connections, what's the basics, the essential information. But many places we're going to come up with a much more detailed plan, like this one on the left. I have an even better example here. A student from Oxnard College went on a pre-plan of the Reagan Library and passed on to me some of these pages from that pre-plan for Ventura County Fire Department in Simi. As you can see, it's very detailed. Every hydrant. Over here is the legend. Up here is the compass rose, so you know what's north, what's south. And the legend gives you, what are all these symbols mean? Well, this is the fire department connection. These are hydrants. This is your main entrance and access. But then over here, we have the different floors. Here's the ground floor, and then there was a first floor, second floor, and all of the details, again, where hydrants are, where the fire department connection is, where the riser is. These are all different sprinkler risers. And all of these different types of things, these are standpipe connections that would be important to firefighters to know, especially if they responded to an incident at the Reagan Library. Well, we have, a lot of things we'd be concerned about there. Well, a lot of life hazard, because people come to the museum and library for the different displays that they have. It's a really cool place to go if you haven't gone there. They have one of the older versions of Air Force One there, and Marine One. Helicopter is over here next to Air Force One. But also we have things that are extremely valuable there. So we need to know about, where are those items where we need to salvage those as fast as possible. These are priceless, items that cannot be replaced. So, what are some other examples of places we might consider high hazard? Well, this is the Valencia Town Center out near where I live. Lots of people, but a very intricate building with passageways behind the stores, and they've got every kind of fire protection system you can imagine, other than some of the ones that are only found in industrial locations, like foam systems. But they've got restaurant kitchen hood systems, they've got sprinklers, alarms, smoke control, standpipes, all of these kind of things. Well, we want to know where all of that is. So a detailed pre-incident plan would be necessary for the mall. We also have to consider shooter scenarios now. It's really sad that that's something we have to do. But at a place that's a very public place like this, or at a school, we have to consider those kind of scenarios as well. How about the Hyatt Hotel? This is a smaller Hyatt out in Santa Clarita. It's a low-rise building, 5 floors, I believe. But, you've got assembly portions, you've got residential portions, you've got restaurants and eating areas. So all of these things need to be mapped out, laid out. What's the fire protection systems? Where are they? What's the best access? Where's the hydrants? Where's the standpipes? Where's the, in a low-rise building like this, like a high-rise, we want to know about the elevators, elevator recall. Where is the control panel for all of these different things in a building of this nature? Even though it's low-rise, not high-rise, they'd still have a lot of the things that they have in a high-rise. How about out here again, we have 3 major colleges, College of the Canyons, CalArts, and Masters University. At Cal Institute of the Arts, they've got a building there that is a maze of studios, classrooms, public assembly areas where they do concerts. It's very intricate, very involved. High people hazard, but also they have some, they've got a film developing area. They've got a lot of hazardous materials. They've got lots of paints and things of this nature. So very intricate, lots of different things. So if we go to CalArts, well, it depends on which building. Is it at the dorm? Well, then we're concerned mostly about people. Is it in the main building where all of these other things I mentioned? So we want to go into detail, have a very detailed set of plans, each floor. CalArts has a, I believe, 5-story main building because there's 2 subfloors, and it's either 4 or 5. All of that needs to be laid out. Where's the on-site hydrants? Where's the fire department connections? Portions of this building are sprinklered and portions not. That's not supposed to happen, but because it was built and then added onto, they got away with a couple of things they wouldn't get away with today. So we want to know about the water system and the hydrants. So where are the hydrants that are public, but also, I'll talk about in a second, the private? What's the flow capability? What are the water mains in that area? Are they big enough? Well, the water main in a residential area is going to be different than a water main in an industrial or commercial area. So are there supplementary? So those are on-site hydrants or water supply locations. So a lot of times, well, all the time these days, any new construction is going to be split up into, just like we have different zones in our communities. Is this an industrial zone? Is this a residential zone? Do they allow stores in this area? Do they allow churches? Do they allow schools? They're all broken up into what we call zoning. Well, the zoning also influences the water supply. So in an industrial area, we might have larger pipe and closer spacing of hydrants than we would in a residential area. So not only is the zoning what kind of buildings can be there, but what kind of fire flow do we have of water that's available. Last couple of slides here, we also want to include in our pre-plan what's the built-in fire protection. I've mentioned this already in this video, but we want to know, where's the fire alarm control panel? Do they have an annunciator panel? That's always convenient for firefighters, where in the main entrance there's a little panel that tells us what's going on, where's the problem, where's the smoke alarm gone off, and we can get to that really fast. If not, if there's not an annunciator panel, we've got to find the location of the main fire alarm control panel, or fire alarm control unit, depending on, different people call it different things. Same thing, just different names. What's the operation procedures needed to start and shut off the sprinkler system, a smoke control system, all of these kind of things. We just need to know the locations of those key components, but most importantly, where's our fire department connection, our hydrants, and any control valves for turning things on and turning things off. A lot of times right in the front of the building, we'll have our OS&Y for shutting off the water supply, and we'll have our fire department connection, or they might have a post indicator valve where we can shut off the sprinklers. But these things, we want to know where they are and mark them on that pre-fire plan. Before we move on to a little bit about ventilation, in our fire pre-plan, we want to also have, who's coming. First alarm and second alarm matrix. If it's out here in Santa Clarita, that mall is in 126's area. Well, who else is going to come besides engine and truck 126 and the chief who resides there? Well, probably fire engine 111. I believe the closest paramedics is either engine 73 or engine 111, but we'll have paramedics. Then 2 or 3 other engine companies that will come on that first alarm. And who's in the second alarm? But sometimes we might need mutual aid. So in an area like Verdugo Hills, where you have Glendale, Burbank, Pasadena Fire Department. They're smaller departments. They're what I like to call big little cities or little big cities. They're big enough to have their own fire department, but not so big that they have multiple battalions. Well, they depend on each other, and LA County and LA City are on their borders. So they might have mutual aid assisting fire agencies that will send their fire companies and trucks to assist them in the larger fires, the larger incidents at those high hazard facilities. Well, with this pre-plan, it helps us to size up and set up our operations. When you show up on a residential fire, well, you're going to do your size up. You need to do see at least 3 sides as you pull up. Do a 360 as soon as possible and kind of size up that building and start making decisions about strategy and tactics. But if we have one of these pre-plans that are done, well, we're not going to do that for every little house in our district, but those larger facilities, those high hazard facilities, we're going to do this, and it's going to help us do our size up. We know things about it as we're pulling up, right? What's inside it? What is it? A lot of people, all of these things. Now, nowadays, you might have this in a database, and it's going to show up on your mobile data terminal. In the old days, we would have it in a file folder, and some fire departments still have those file folders for the first in engine companies. Well, included in that might be some information about ventilation. And again, as I said, Chapter 6 has a lot of information about ventilation, and that's for another video, another time. But ventilation does need to be a high priority and needs to be done in coordination with fire attack. So it's going to take time to set up ladders. It's going to take time to get that company up on the roof and to assess situations. So they need to make sure that they're coordinating with that fire attack team as they pull in their hose lines. And again, it should be discussed in the pre-planning sessions. For instance, if there's scuttle holes, skylights, stairwells, these are things that we can use to our advantage, especially skylights and stairwells. Listen, wrong ventilation can increase the oxygen flow to a fire and speed up flashover. So it needs to be done correctly with a plan and in coordination with other fire companies, especially the fire attack team. We're going to cut that hole or use whatever we have that's directly above the fire. Not cut it far away because that's going to draw the fire and the heat into that area. So we need to kind of think these things through and make sure we do it correctly. Okay, that's it for now. 20 minutes. Man, I was shooting for 10. I do this all the time. But hopefully this was good information for you on how to do a pre-plan.